And my brother got me on the diet. I dropped 12 so far. And another 20 to go.
So what do you
Join me on that one.
I will.
All right.
Oh, mine is a long time.
How are you? It has been a while.
Aaron's
From Green
good.
Festival.
And don't tell anybody it's my birthday.
Okay, yeah.
And he was so mad at me, I put it on Facebook.
It's warmer over here.
My child is at risk.
Nope, you can't, there's not enough people to be a back pressure.
All right.
Hello.
Hey,
come in here.
The night you fall asleep under the fire, because everything's gonna be.
Yes, big grand entrance.
You guys have
We write it down. I got it right.
Oh, but you said, oh, it's more.
Go sit down.
my email,
The wall of the church office.
we got a church office right there on the side.
Yeah, this is the phone. It's the church, and the church office right there. Right there.
Go me right now. 'Cause I don't know where it is.
It's the first time.
So, yeah.
I go to church, the office
For all
wall.
the actual meetings.
Why are you getting this building? How you getting this building?
I okay, go look at you, down there, it's the upstairs right there, the wall right there. His office is on the right.
Like, you think about all of us.
You know, office manager, yes.
Administrator?
Administrator.
No, office manager, you asked me about manager, yeah. Yeah, office manager, dot.
I can't think of anything like that. I had very, very yeah, she's just lovely. Hiding there? You can hide from me. The more you hide, the more I call acid on it. So it's pretty interesting. Good. So my daughter doesn't allow it. That's what I was. She's centered it. Yeah, how's her? Yeah, oh, yeah, she has front foot.
She's getting there. Like,
Yeah.
my daughter, older daughter,
Where does she live?
But
Milliken, Tennessee? There's a Milliken in Illinois. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Small,
Civil rights.
She like it? She's at Wash U in St. Louis. Yeah, she's a senior. So, she's almost done, and she has committed to a job. Like, she had an internship this past summer at Price Waterhouse. Yeah. No, she's data science. and she took a job in the consulting area. She'll say it's not what she wants to do, but I said, "Oh, no. You know what? Grab it right now because the US has no idea what's going on. Every day is like a spin the wheel of fortune before it's fortune. And a lot of young people going out of school right now, the job market is totally constricted for the US. So she took it, I said, you worked there for 2 years and then what are you going to do? She doesn't have to work like Google or Microsoft or data. But all of those companies say, go work for one of the big consulting firms and get trained and then come to us. So, but the amount of money here, I mean, it's mind blowing to me how much this starting salary. She's making almost $100,000. Save your money. You have to take care of me. Okay, I think we're ready, right? You got everyone? Yeah. All right, any thoughts, questions after you get home, or maybe one of your kids talked about what we talked about this morning? I think we just did the two, right? You were here.
I was not
You
here.
were not here.
I'm the principal of Moose County.
Oh, you
and
are.
so is my
Oh,
middle school.
I loved them. They were great. They really, really were.
Pretty participatory.
The three girls were my pals, and I, what's that? Yeah, Gabrielle, and one of your teachers came up and said, I don't know what you did, but Gabrielle doesn't talk much.
Yeah, she's been.
She was, I had her right here. We were, yeah, we did a little walkthrough and I had, like, you're my point, you know, okay, explain what Instagram is to them. And she's telling the whole group.
Wow.
Yeah, they were wonderful. And then I had a handful of the girls from TAP, is it? TAP. There, but I was just saying, when she saw them, she thought they were gonna eat me alive and spit me out. I think she said the white girl from the US. And they were wonderful as well. They're real, you were there the whole time? They didn't do one, they were totally engaged, except for when their eyes were closed. One child. Two of them slept a little bit. But I would kind of, like, I would give them a little nap and come over and be like, so what do you think? And, what? It's okay. And then one of them's elbowing, they're like, wake up. And I'm like, leave her. She's okay. You don't need to force her. Okay, so any thoughts from yesterday as you went home and laid in bed and played it all through, couldn't sleep because now you're really worked up about how dangerous this all is?
No, I love what you said yesterday about kind of, because that's something that I do with my kids, and I sometimes play dumb so that they can fill in the gaps.
Right.
But so like the story with the kid that I saw that committed suicide because he shared a code right there.
Yeah.
And that person that said, okay, I shared with your whole family, and
The threat, yeah.
you know, so I knew, I had read this earlier in the day, and when they came home, I played dumb. You know, I just started to sort of explain it, to say, well, I wonder why did that happen? You know,
Yeah, let them be the authority.
right, and so they started to explain things to me, and then I was, but you know, I guess he must have not realized that mom will always be there, or that, like, there's no way a mom is
Love that.
you know, and I wish he had known, if only he had known. And so when you were talking about that yesterday, it made me realize that that's really important for all of us as parents to kind of find ways in, because
Yeah.
it's not easy.
Yeah.
And sometimes kids just zone us out and they're like, okay, mom, right, I know, so you've got to find what works, and I think that really works.
And I think what you bring up a really good point that I often talk about is if you can find a way to talk about a third party and not your child is like, yes. Like, they don't want to tell you that.
And not make it look like
No,
you're trying to
There's
teach them
safety,
something.
no,
You're
there's
bonding with
safety
them,
in
you know.
whether it's someone they know or a story of someone that, you know, a story I told, they come home, Mom, let me tell you about the story Liz told, you know, about Anna, the volleyball, did you hear about Anna, the volleyball player? I told that one, probably took it 45 minutes, and I think I'll share that with you. We talked about predators yesterday, didn't we? I'll circle back to that tomorrow. But one of the reasons why I tell you a lot of the stories I tell them is because I think that's another sort of strategy that will bring up that dialogue. Because if you come home and say, she was talking about predators, you never talk to predators online, right? That's, and when we do that, this finger seems to come out. Is your account set and we don't mean anything by it? I call it my thinking finger. But you also have to think about how it is received. It's not just how we intend it. And they're like, they just see the finger pointing like this. No, I didn't do it. I never said you did it. And then instead of having a productive conversation, you're having a conversation about, I didn't say you did it, but you're pointing that finger. Well, that's not. And now the moment's totally gone. So things like stories are really great. Videos. Hey, I saw this cool video. Take a look at it. And what's that? Oh, the plant. Yes, I think we might see that one. That's a great one. I love it. But then you can talk, and that kind of sets it up to talk about this third party, whether they're real or from a video. Articles. You talked about your 16-year-old, like you're not the person he's gonna talk to. So one of the things, I think boys oftentimes can be harder than girls, because there's a million different exceptions to it, including my own house. But what I found is that articles, like when I see a good article, I'll print it out. I don't anymore, but when my kids were like in high school, and I'll leave and I'll come and I'll say, hey, check this out. And I'll give it to them. And then again, a lot of it's in the delivery. You can't say, hey, read this article. You see what she did? Screwed up her life. One mistake, one bad click, done. They're like, so they're not reading, they're not comprehending. So I'll never forget it. It was an article I found in the New York Times. My son it was the summer of my middle son going into his junior year. So we were just sort of starting on that whole college tour of where you thinking you want to go and testing and all that. And it was a story about about 10 children students who got admitted to Harvard University. The #1 university in the country. And if you've gone through this with kids, you know this, when they get into their school, they often get added to the school Facebook group. And it's a really nice tool. That's how they can meet other prospective students, that's how they find roommates, and that's how they disseminate information from the university. So these 10 kids go on this, class of whatever, 2020 Facebook page, and they sort of meet each other amongst many, many students. But these 10 move over to a different app with privacy, and they've never met each other face to face, but they start kind of talking, and one thing leads to another, and now it's turned into a meme contest, right? And you know what I mean by meme contest? And so and again, you gotta think about the type of student that's going to Harvard. Highly competitive, highly successful, have won a lot of things in their life. So you've got this personality where everyone's really competitive and they're one-upping. And so this one young man who told the story keeps saying like these memes, they started off kind of funny and fairly safe, and it just progressed. And it got anti-Semitic and racist and homophobic, and there was a lot about the Holocaust and whatever the stakes kept getting higher. And he said, I was going on a Saturday morning to a band competition, my friend was driving, and he said, I remember actually saying to my friend driving, oh boy, I should not put this one up there. Like, this is bad. But he went to post, and he felt somewhat safe because it was a private account. We talked a lot about that today with the students. And about 10 days later, he got a letter from Harvard. Now he's admitted, by now it's April of his senior year. And he's accepted, he's excited, his family's excited, and this letter said, we have been made aware of a very inappropriate account. We've gone and looked at all of these memes. We would like you to send us an email back within 3 days telling us which memes you are responsible for. He was like, oh boy. So he sat down and he wrote it. I mean, there's no line at this point because it's all out online. And about a week later, he got a letter from Harvard that said, thank you very much. You have rescinded your acceptance to the university. Your acceptance was based on your moral character and from what was in this Facebook page. You do not demonstrate what we value here at Harvard. Good luck to you. The timing of it was such that decision day was done. All the other Princeton, Yale, Stanford, he had said, no thanks, I'm going to Harvard. He had nothing, nowhere to go. None of the, all 10 kids got axed.
Please don't let them know.
So back to my son, so I'm reading this, and funny, I had been asking my kids for weeks, for months about these memes. It was somewhat new, and I'm like, they kept sending memes about their one cousin, similar to you guys, the kids are all close. And I'm like, so are you guys like kind of bullying Ben with these memes? Mom, no, we're just joking. Ben knows that. No, Mom, you think everything is like bullying, and I'm like, okay, I'm just checking. And so I print this article out, and I leave it on the counter. And I said, hey, take a look at this when you get a minute. And I walk away. Now, here's what I tell parents. You see the article, give it to them, slide it over, walk away. You may never hear another word about it. You may come back. Sometimes I come back in the kitchen and it's sitting there. I don't know if they read it, but I'm going to assume they did. And sometimes they have nothing to say, and sometimes they do. So this one, and I go into my office and I'm working, and about 5 minutes later, he goes, are you kidding me? And I look up, I go, what? He goes, you're telling me that these guys lost their admittance to Harvard because of memes? And I go, mm-hmm. He goes, wow. And he went upstairs. And I thought, you know what? That was the most effective conversation I had about memes in my entire life, as well as about the college application process, as well as about how you put something online and it's there forever, and it's your reputation, and it affects your future, and all the things I talk to the kids about. And all I had to say to make that conversation impactful was, what? And yeah. It was my finest moment. It's way better than the 30-minute talks I do. So yeah, so that's a great point is, find other ways. It's not just us talking. I could have said all of that and he would have gone, yeah, okay, are you done talking yet, Mom? So I think those are effective ways. Another thing we were talking about when we were talking about Sarah was, I gave a suggestion, you may not have been there. I said, you know what I find effective in classroom with kids, which is no different than what you're doing at home or in the car, is I ask kids, I say, so if you were a parent, how would you do this? And that, they really embrace that. What I have found is that if you provide a really safe environment where you're truly interested in what their opinion is, it shocks me. Yeah. Yeah.
Immediately, that, all prior to that was, I don't know. And then she said, well, I would
Yeah.
just exactly how you just did it, exactly.
And you would think logic would tell me that would be their opportunity to advocate for what they want. Well, I would never have a time limit for my children. Like, I would let them be online all night. This is what they tell me. They say, no, I have limits. I'm not sure if you've heard it all. I was giving an example in the classroom. I turned it on the kids and I said, if you were your parent, 6th graders, 12-year-old, would you put limits on your screen? And I thought for sure to do that. No way, never. And every kid was like, yeah, except for one girl. She's like, I don't know. She's kind of like a little like ditzy, flaky, and she said, I don't know. I think I probably should, but I really want my parents to like me. Or I really want my children to like me. And I thought that was so interesting. So I said, I go, hey guys, I go, what do you guys think that limits and boundaries, what does that represent? Again, logic would say, kids would tell you, it's parents' way of making my life miserable, right? And a couple kids raise their hands and would say, it demonstrates love. Now I'm standing in a Catholic school with a much higher value system than a public school, but I looked at the girl and I said, it's love. That's how parents love you, is by keeping you safe. Yes, sir.
You mentioned yesterday that there should always be a discussion, there should always be an understanding that there's nothing that a child could have done that they can't get out of. There won't be a rising sun the next morning.
Right.
We don't want them going off.
Right.
Themselves, but it seems to me like part of that needs to be empowering them against this cancel culture that basically few organizations, but an entire society has developed where they cancel for one mistake. And
Yeah.
children, especially, I mean, either way, there's gonna be a rebellion against that going into the future, but it seems as though we should be empowering them to some degree to fight against that cancel culture, because you don't want groups that have the right to cancel you or to block your admission for something that is devastating, but you can't have an entire society living in fear of making one mistake and being canceled, and the price being so big, and you being so poor of character that you can't fight your way out of it, if that makes sense. You can be able to say,
Yeah, I gotta
how would
think
you
about
if you're canceled?
50 thoughts running through my head.
That was a lot. That was a
No,
lot.
it's not that it was a lot, it's just that it's so complicated. And if we sit here and think, this is so layered and nuanced and complicated, how are 12-year-olds or 13-year-olds that have this power, like, I don't know where my phone is, but I like to have little props, but we're giving, I mean, I think it's a deeper question, we're giving these devices to tiny little brains that have immense power, and immense power that deeply affects the future, right? The things that they say and they do. And I took out a lot, I mean, I have slide upon slide about examples of people who have been canceled, whether it's an athlete, a professional athlete, whether it's, a young person that is now 27 years old and they're about to get a huge promotion. Someone looks back and sees that when they were 19 years old, they were frustrated in a college class where they had a professor from another country that they couldn't understand, and they were failing out simply because there was a huge language barrier. And they go on Twitter and they send 4 quick tweets about, that person and their language and their ethnicity. And then, and probably 10 years ago, it wasn't as sensitive of a topic as it is 10 years ahead. And now that person is up to be the editor-in-chief of Teen Vogue magazine. Dream of a lifetime for a woman, a 29-year-old woman, and someone unearthed the 4 tweets she sent when she was 19 years old. And Vogue came back to her and said, and in her interview process with kind of all the muckety-mucks, she said, I want to be fully transparent. I posted some stuff online when I was 19 years old in college, very frustrated. They have since been deleted, but I'm going to be transparent about it. She thought she was, and the Vogue people that she was interviewing for said, no problem, understand it, you demonstrated it, we're good with it, offered her the job. But the underlings, someone found it. It was deleted, but it was unearthed. And then there was sort of an uprising, and leadership came back and said, sorry, we're revoking the offer. We can't have all of our people angry at us for hiring you. So, but there's a lot of things you said, and we had long discussions today about, we're going to talk about it today, about social media, your reputation, your future, what affects your reputation. People are going on there to judge you, all of that stuff. Is any of that fair to a 12, 13, 14-year-old? And I could say, you're telling me that I'm 14 years old and I could be held accountable for some stupid joke I made today in 10 years? And I'm like, I am telling you that. And this kid in front of 20 or 30 other kids said, that's not fair. Aren't we supposed to be able to make mistakes? Isn't that part of growing up? And I looked at him and I said, we could have a philosophical discussion about this, and we're gonna end up on the same side of the line, that yeah, you're right, it's not fair. But what I'm here to tell you is that this is the world we're living in. And what is fair is that I'm here telling you that, trying to teach you that, and no one, you are deciding what to put online every minute of every day. and take my words, take my knowledge, take my example, and monitor yourself. And it's, today, for those of you that are there, it's a lot more than that. I tell them, pause, slow down, let your brain think. Everything, the cards are stacked against them and against us because these devices, they promote impulsivity for all of us. But now we're like double the impulsivity with 13, 14, 15-year-olds because they don't have a fully developed frontal cortex. So they're impulsive already. And then we give them a device that's designed to make them react and be impulsive. They're gonna lose to make mistakes on this. And I mean, I can't put the genie back in the bottle to say, driving a car, at least in the US, you have to be 16 years old. You have to take classes. You have to spend a certain amount of hours driving with an instructor. And then on top of that, you have to log 50 hours driving with your parents. And you have a 9-month waiting period to get a license. But yet we take a phone. We say, oh, Merry Christmas, my 10-year-old, have fun, enjoy it, with no knowledge, no education, no controls, poor modeling. And then we wonder why we have a society where we're canceling everybody. The message too is, I mean, you should see I don't know how much you follow what's happening in the US, but with this Charlie Kirk thing, people are getting fired left and right for things that they posted on their own personal social media account. That is freedom of speech. But we now have a government that says, if this side of the aisle says it, it's okay. But if this side of the aisle says it okay, it's like over here it's freedom of speech, over here it's cancel.
But you always had a
Well, they're holding
government.
on.
The last government was worse.
Yeah,
It's
and now it's like, you know what? I don't get it.
no, not either. It depends on which side you're on, right? I mean, this side thinks this side is abusive, and this side thinks this side. It's a mess. It's a mess, and I often think, like, how do we ever recover from this? And now we have this tool that allows people to get their message out to 1 million people in a second.
So one of the things that sort of sound from last night was the whole goal to get care out of jail free thing. And I wanted to ask you a bit more about it because on one hand, I think it's important for children to understand that nothing they do or say will ever mean that you don't love them as a parent.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm a little uncomfortable with the whole get out of jail free pass kind of thing, because in my mind, they still have to understand that there have to be consequences to law. But what's important is that consequence is not the end of their existence or the relationship with their parents or whatever. So I took away from that it's important to help them to understand that there's nothing really they can do that we can, as a family, map out a way forward. Not to say that it didn't happen or there's no consequences to it. Is that accurate?
Yeah, I have a couple thoughts. First of all, I think before probably there were like 3 slides in a row, and I was very upfront saying these are all suggestions. Take what works for you and what works with your parenting style and your family values, and if something doesn't jive with it, leave it there. But with that, I also want you to realize what I see is that kids make devastating mistakes when they know it's going to be a devastating mistake, like going to meet a predator, because they're afraid to ask for help. And that's the piece. Like, as a parent, and it happened to me. I showed you the conversation Nate had. And what I didn't tell you was 2 weeks after that happened, we were in a car coming home from a soccer game. I'll never forget, it was an October night. It was cold, it was raining, it was dark. Her and I were in the car. And over the clear blue, she said, Mom. And I said, yeah. She goes, you saw what happened online, didn't you? You saw what happened online. Because remember, her dad came to me and we talked about it. And decided not to, she was safe, the guy was gone, there's nothing we could have done legally. And she immediately started crying. And I said, she said, I'm so stupid, I don't know why I did that, I'm an idiot. That was her internal thinking, she would not have come to me. But I said, Maeve, it's okay, you're safe, and that's the most important thing, and what did you learn? And she said, I learned that I just can't trust people that I don't know. Perfect. So, that is something that I respect, I deeply respect your comments, and I say, maybe you nuance it, or maybe what I'm thinking is the parent-child agreement works better for you, because within that, you can lay out, we as a family will figure this out, but there will be consequences.
Well, for me, the metaphor is probably more like a parachute.
Maybe, yeah,
The family will be there, they'll help push you, they'll help,
Yeah.
They'll help you navigate.
We always
through
love
that.
you.
Exactly.
yeah,
But not that there's not a consequence.
yeah.
That can be for some kids, point of exploitation. to the parents.
Well, it's a one-time pass, though. That was the big thing. I said, if it happens again, and maybe after it happens, you say, you know, you had to pass. So if it's happened again, you're safe. Because, really, truly, at the end of the day, the number one goal is their sleep. So that's the objective of that tool, is to give them a route to sleep, especially that first time. And then the
No, I
second
can
time.
do that.
Yeah.
No, I heard something this little, but I heard someone say something to that effect, that they're driving.
That's where I got it
Say,
from.
yeah, say basically, we've got one path, like, I won't ask questions, I won't ask anything, I will just simply pick you up and take you, and that's it.
Right.
And I thought about that, and how many times kids have gotten killed. Yeah, it's really, really bad situations, because they can't even think of their parents, they don't want to say, listen, this, they
Right.
with people who are wasted.
Right.
So,
That's exactly the logic. Yeah. Okay, let's jump in. I'm really gonna try and have you guys out of here in 45 minutes from now, to an hour. No, George, hey, this is my pulpit right now. I'm just with that. So let's jump into this social media. Yeah, raise your hand if you knew your child had to be 13 to open an account on social media. Why is every hand not up? Thank you. Did you not know that? Do they need a phone to to create an Instagram account? To your knowledge? No. No, I mean, I asked,
Self-certified, you have to be certified, you just have to ask for it.
no, you have to have
With
nothing.
self-certification that you're-
You say,
Yes, I am.
create a new account. Then you put in, really what you have to have is an email address. That's what drives all these accounts, is an email address. So with all of, today, did you notice? I asked, how many of you have social media accounts? 3, probably the only 2 that didn't raise their hand were Sarah and, they know not to admit it.
No, they know not to have it.
We're son to that, massa.
Yeah, so, Instagram, TikTok, what's Facebook, Snapchat would be the other big one. To create an account legally, technically, you have to be 13 years old. But it is the easy, you know what, their math skills become incredibly good. Because the only thing that's regulating that is the birth year that's put in when you create the account. So, username, email account, birth date. And they'll know it. So they go, Sarah goes, let's see, if I want to be 13 and it's 2025, I have to be, that's kind of complicated. So you know what birth year I'm gonna put? What birth year do you think is most common? Yep. The math is simple. They clear the bar, right? They leap over it at the age of 24 or 25, depending on what they take for their birthdays and the time of year. But what's more important is I want you to understand what this age of 13 means, because I will tell you, I didn't judge any one of these kids. That's not my job. My job is to give knowledge, and then your job is to make decisions around this. So why is that age important? A couple of reasons. Number one, when they put that kind of guideline rule in there, it alleviates them the platform of building into the app built-in safety standards for younger users. So I can't give you a good example today of what a good app would be for a younger user. When my kids were little, they used Webkins. Do you remember Webkins? You buy a little stuffed animal. It was a marketing genius who did this. You buy like a little stuffed animal, and on the tag, it has a code. And then you go to webkins.com and you register your pet. It's so cute. And then they feed it every day, and they go online, and there's silly games. They spin the wheel, and they get points, and they play games. And 5, 6, 7-year-olds do this to take care of their pets, and then they make us continue to buy more of these student stuffed animals, and that's the marketing genius part. But what's interesting about that platform is that there's all these features that make it safe for a 5-year-old. There's absolutely no email, direct messaging. There's no way for a stranger to reach out to them because there's no communication tools in it. There's no marketing. So it's relatively safe because there's younger users on it. Disney.com would be very similar to that. So let's just use TikTok. TikTok is assuming that every single user on their platform is 13 years or older. Therefore, they don't have the responsibility to protect a 10-year-old because there's no 10-year-olds out there. And after, I'll never forget about 5 years ago, after I got done, period, some woman raised her hand. And I said, yes. She said, so is there a parental control setting on TikTok that will help me to filter inappropriate content for my daughter? And I looked at her, I said, no, because your daughter's not supposed to be on there. So you don't need to filter content because everyone's 13 or older. So that's important to understand. I will say that all of these platforms are being pushed very hard to start, or they were being pushed very hard to start to incorporate more guardrails for younger users. And when I say younger users, they're saying 13, 14, 15-year-olds. They know darn well that they're trying to protect the 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I mean, there are so many young kids on TikTok, it's scary. They want to go in there and they want to watch dance videos and music videos, and it's all of these things are user-generated content, meaning that every user is posting what they want. So it's very hard to regulate that and moderate it. So they're starting to build in these guidelines where, based on the birth year, an account will look a little bit different. So if I were to create a TikTok account today, my account would automatically default to public. And in order to make it private, I have to go into my settings and change it to private. It would also allow any person to direct message me, to reach out and contact me and talk to me. And it would allow any of my videos to be downloaded. So let's say we have an 11-year-old girl who's into dance, and she does dance competitions, and she wants to put some of her dances up on TikTok, and she talks to her mom, so there's a TikTok account. And I'm like, okay, let's be really careful. She needs to set up that account so that that birth year is like 13, so that it invokes the standards, the features that are keying off of that birth year. And the features are: the account defaults to private, to kind of close it up. No one can direct message them unless they are an approved follower, so it keeps predators away. And this is important too: their videos cannot be downloaded. Which, think about it, you have a cute little 11-year-old girl, very innocent, has a couple friends over, creates a cute video, and they have little, maybe running shorts on and maybe a little like sports bra. Very appropriate, right? For them, they're not doing anything wrong. But then you get a creepy guy who downloads it. Yeah, and we'll just leave it there.
Take a video with his phone.
Well, of course you could, right? But we're gonna try, yeah. So that's important to understand. Another thing to understand about this birth year in 13 is that you cannot ignore the presence of algorithms and how algorithms work. So the way an algorithm works is that there's kind of two sides to this conversation with algorithms. There's two ways it builds all this data that really is mind-blowingly accurate in terms of feeding the content to people. Why do they have algorithms? Well, how does TikTok make its money? Do you think about that? Yeah, they don't make it on, it's not like Netflix. If you want a Netflix account, you're paying, it's a subscription model. That's where they're making their money. But social media accounts, everyone create an account for free. They're not making any money there, so they make it from advertisements. But we'll do a quick marketing 101. The people advertising are trying to decide, do I put my advertising dollars with TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, where do I put it? Well, if you're the market, if you want my money from Instagram and you're the boss of TikTok, and I'm the marketing manager for The Gap, and I say, you know what, I have $500,000 to spend and I want to target children between the ages of 14 and 18 girls. That's my advertising campaign. And I'd say, which one of you wants my $500,000? Which one of you wants it? So it's just like TV, right? I want to put my money where I'm gonna get the most views, the most eyeballs on it in my target market, right? I'm not gonna advertise for something for kids during Super Bowl Sunday. I'm gonna go beer, hardcore guy stuff, right? So you're gonna tell me, hey Liz, I want your $500,000 because on Instagram, we have 2.3 million users that are females between that age group. And I'll say, okay, what do you have? You're like, well, we have 2.4 as well. Okay, well, it's a tie. So my next question is how long is each user on? Approximately, on average, 28 minutes and 30 seconds. Okay, that's a good amount of time. How about your users on TikTok? No, mine are on 33 minutes. That's a lot of money. So she's getting my money. So they can tell you how much an extra 2 minutes is worth to them. So now let's talk about us as users. We're being completely manipulated constantly because they're trying to do two things. They're trying to increase the number of users on their platform, and they're trying to get everyone to stay a little bit longer. That's why there's algorithms. Because I'm only on for so long looking at my friends' stuff. But what I spend, and think about social media. Do you use social media? The vast majority of what we see is not our friends. It's content that is fed to us from the platform. And you know what? They're really darn good at it. I didn't use TikTok until COVID, and it was because my kids were all in the house, and I'm like, Mom, you gotta watch that. I sent you that TikTok video, take a look. Get TikTok. All right, I'm gonna get TikTok to participate with my children, my adult children. And I would, like, who gets in bed at 9? Was it you or you? Yeah. Just like you, I go to bed at 9:30. I get up and I'm out the door early. So I'd go to bed at 9:30 and I'd have my phone and I'd be like, well, let me look at this TikTok that Maeve sent me. And I'd look at it, oh yeah, that's funny, that's cute. And before I could even think, the next one appears. Oh my God, that one's funnier. Next one, oh, that's hilarious. I love to watch people dance. And during COVID, there were just all these sort of group dances that everyone was doing to the same song all over the world. And dancing just, I think it's joyful. Whether you're good, bad, or indifferent, I love to watch it. It makes me happy. So I would just sit there and all of a sudden I'd look and be like, oh, it's 11 o'clock. I wanted to watch one video and be asleep. And now I've wasted 90 minutes looking at these stupid dance videos. So that's what those algorithms do to us. So let's talk about how they figure out that I like dance videos. Well, they do two things. First of all, they watch every single thing I do online. Everything I like, everything I comment on, everything I share with my sister-in-law, or I share with my kids. They also watch, they'll feed me, it's a little trial and error. And so they'll say, let's give her a cleaning video. And I hit that. And I scroll past it in a second and a half. That gets noted. She didn't like that one. Well, we gave her this one with with people singing and dancing, she watched 45 seconds, she likes that. And you know what we know? We know that people who like these types of videos typically like these types of videos. So they try that out. Oh, the comedy ones are kind of good too. So that's one component. The other component is my demographics, right? So they know that I'm a 57-year-old woman, I live in the suburbs of Chicago, I own a business, I have 3 kids, I own a house, I make X number of dollars, and whatever else they want to put in. And think of it as like a soup pot. All of this goes into the pot to make really a beautiful tasty soup that will make me stay on TikTok longer. Why does this matter to the age of 13? Let's go back to the year 2000, you said it, the year 2000, easy math. So if my daughter does that as an 11-year-old, the algorithm is gonna think, this is a 25-year-old young woman from Chicago who, well, we know what they like bar scenes or provocative clothing or party scenes or whatever. And now that content that's really geared at 25-year-olds is being fed to an 11-year-old. And I'm telling you, you've got hormones and you've got curiosity running rampant with tweens and teens. And they get one look at that, they're like, whoa, that's cool. And they watch it for the whole beginning to end, and now they've told the algorithm, you like that. And if you like that, I bet you like this. And now we have that rabbit hole of, you wonder, we talked a little bit about this with the suicide. You were talking about how you're involved in this group, this support group, and if you back up and you're saying, Tina was saying, there's 10-year-olds, there's 11-year-olds taking their life, and I think everyone in this room would agree that when I was 10 years old, my biggest concern is what time the grade lunch was on, right? Like, how do these guys know about it? How does that become an option? It's all being fed to them in various different formats because these algorithms are so mixed up. So I think that's really important to understand. A couple things, like kind of very tangible takeaways. Try and keep their birth year, as close to 13. If you choose to let them get an account before they're 13, that's up to you. I'll tell you what I did. In our family agreement, in our digital roadmap, we said we have to be 13 to be online. And I told you a little bit last night, I took the heat when they started, when they would come at me and say, yeah, I'm sorry. And we also, with movies, we made a hard decision that our kids weren't seeing R-rated movies when they were 13 and 14. And where it really got hard was birthday parties. And I'll tell you the other thing I didn't allow sleepovers for my children. I mean, that's where problems really happen. And you can make that rule, and you can always have a little exception here and there and make a big deal. Okay, I'll let you, like I would let them sleep at their cousin's house. Or every blue moon I might wave it and let them, but then they felt like, wow, this is really special, but it's funny. And I would always let them go to the birthday party until 10 or 11. And then I'd go pick them up and I'd stay up a little bit later than 9, and I'd go pick them up. And as my kids grew up, they actually told me they loved the pool. I said, Mom, I gotta tell you, when I hear about the party afterwards the next day, all the problems started, all the fights with the girls and the crying, it all happened at 2 o'clock in the morning. And mostly it was motivated by my desire not to have a sleep-deprived teenager come home the next day. I parent out of convenience to me. Yes?
I have a question to ask you. Jailbreaking, where the hackers can change the formula. Wouldn't that allow a 13-year-old a video to be downloaded even though they're promising not? So you don't really, just because TikTok says that you can't download it, doesn't mean that's true, does it? Really?
Yes, but that's very true, but let's be logical. There's so much content out there of young kids on public accounts that they don't need to jailbreak anything. They don't need to hack it. And so if my kid's account is private and I have a creepy guy and he looks at it, he goes, yeah, I'm moving on. Because there's 40 million other kids that are public.
But not in the Bahamas. In the Bahamas, TikTok is more famous than anything else. And what we used to see in Rangeley, our children doing on TikTok was horrifying.
No, I understand that, but I'm saying the predators, because it's running rampant in the Bahamas,
Right.
they don't need to mess around with kids that do have their accounts set up properly and are a little bit tighter,
To have ample prey.
because they have too much prey. Why would I spend 4 hours trying to jailbreak this when I can spend 2 minutes just hitting the download button for this 8-year-old girl who says she's 25?
Oh, right.
It's too easy.
But you can't see her video, I mean, if she's 25 and you're seeing, oh, so the 13-year-old pretending to be 25, but looks at the 13-year-old on the video.
Yeah. Well, actually, they look like an 8-year-old on the video. They're even younger. Yeah. Yeah.
What's the mindset of?
What mindset?
Hey,
What's the
this is a judgment-free room.
What is the mindset of somebody that is posting on TikTok? Isn't it, I mean, they're doing it to create value for themselves, to create,
When you're talking about like a
So-
10, 12-year-old?
yeah, I mean, all of this.
It's hard. I mean, some of it is really, really, truly, like the motivation is very appropriate. It's the same motivation I have of posting things on Instagram. I want to do it, I want to put it out there, I want to see who likes it, it makes me feel good. Yeah, the currency, we call it social currency. But,
So my counter question to that is, like, as parents, how should we be combating that need? I mean, fun is fun, I mean, I play sports, that's fine, but I also play sports to, you know, feel like I'm a superstar every now and then. How should we be approaching our kids so that their mindset doesn't necessarily need all this massive validation?
Yeah. You addressed that from the first
All
day.
this time, all
how
this
did I
time.
address it?
You were talking about the self-esteem and all of that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, this is the dig in, this is the hard work of parenting. Is that I gotta just keep talking to them, telling them how, you know, our family, it's, you know, a lot of it, it's how you're gonna have those very valuable conversations. Because you can talk to, this is what our family does. I go out and I play sport. You already gave the talk to your child when you asked the question to me. And really, it's two parts. How do they get it? And how are they misinterpreting what they think they're getting from social media? That's a big component is, look, this is, the number of likes you get on a video doesn't define you. That's the scary part. And that's where we as adults need to be counseling them all the time. Because you got kids out there that are completely measuring their value by how many followers they have. I would drive a car full of boys to soccer. This was years ago, and soccer was 30 minutes away. So it was my son who had no social media because he was 12, and then it was 3 more 12 and 13-year-olds, and they get in the car, and almost every week, the conversations of boys. How many followers do you have on Instagram? I have 200. And then this one would say, I have 370. And then this one, it was interesting because it always went up. They're probably all lying through their teeth. But what they're flexing, right? You guys probably went in the mirror when you were teenagers and were like, hey, put it up. Right? Like, George was like,
You're in my head.
what?
You're in my head.
I know, that felt harmless, but you're like telling him, you know what?
That's all
I
I
will pummel you because I'm stronger. Now, the kids are flexing by, what? Yeah. Who likes you? Or, this is the addiction component. And we talk, I could get into a million different things. It's called variable reward theory. This is why social media can be so addicting. Do you know what variable reward theory is?
Sounds fascinating. Exactly what it sounds.
Think of a slot machine. Right? Do you know how addicting a slot machine is?
Sometimes it's $5, sometimes it's $10.
But I keep putting it in there because I don't know. It's unpredictable And that's the addiction, isn't it? I'm gonna put another quarter and maybe I'm gonna hit the jackpot. Oh, I got 2 cherries and I got 5 coins for my reward. That's kind of fun. Let me see again. Oh, I got 3 apples. I got 10. Still gonna get the one that says jackpot. And I'm sitting there, go to Las Vegas, and you see people asleep on the slot machines. Or you see people with 5 slot machines in their life. And it's like, what's wrong with you? But that's the addiction. So that's called variable reward theory. That whole thing is based, social media is based on variable reward theory. And you know what the cherries and the apples are? The likes.
And emoji.
Yep.
fires.
So who here ever posts? Okay, I'm gonna ask you. When you probably look at it a day, a couple times a day, like scroll through, it's interesting. Every blue moon, you throw up your own post. Do you find that you go back more often?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, did anyone like it? Did anyone comment? How many people saw it?
And
It's-
Yeah,
it gets, it's
So I
addicting.
post my art, and it's a part of my business, I'm trying to sell my piece of art, and I'm trying to write as well, because I'm trying to get followers to follow my writing, because I'm trying to get my book out there. So, yes, I look, and when I post, it's all day, and I'm obsessed with how my art.
It's a different behavior than 5 days later when you haven't posted anything.
Of course.
Yeah, so do you see how that
Well, it
works?
tires me, I'll do it like for 8 days, and then I can't do it for weeks.
14-year-old feels when it, well, your business is a big deal, I get that, because I didn't. Kids are tying their whole identity to a media platform. And I want to say one more thing, that's one component. The other component, you said, why do they do it? Because they're also living in this world where they're seeing people make millions of dollars. And I don't have to go to college for that, and I don't have to do much. And you know what? If I start posting a lot and I get a lot of followers, I can maybe become an influencer. And then you know what's going to happen? Brands are going to send me stuff so that I can unbox it on video and show all my friends this beautiful new top I have, because now this is advertising dollars. They are not advertising on TV anymore because no one's watching TV. And no one's watching commercials anywhere, anytime, right? So where are we gonna advertise and hit people? Where they are on social media. So it's like, it's just so complicated and again, everything's kind of stacked against us on this as human beings. Did I answer your question?
Yeah, for sure.
Million times. So here's some of the stuff I talked about with the kids. I could just have Alani teach this because Sarah taught you all afternoon, it sounds like. So the first rule is,
What goes online stays online.
watch this. That's how good the feedback was from her daughter today to you, and you did a pretty good job retaining it. P.S. Everyone can see it. That's a big idea. So when I talk to the kids, it's really about, like, their brains work very concretely. So when I tell them this, they go, right, I know, I got it, I heard it. But they haven't really owned it or internalized it. They just don't get it. Because they really kind of work in the concrete, which is, I posted something, well, I'll tell you what I said to them. I said, guys, I was outside my hotel yesterday, it's right there where the cruise ships come in. And I'm really blown away. And I've seen cruise ships a million times, but I am blown away by the massiveness of these ships that come in. And I'm also blown away that they back up and then they can completely turn on a dime. They're like a city block. They're bigger than a city block. Every afternoon at 4 o'clock. Norwegian pulls out at 4 o'clock every day. I know the times already. Disney goes out about 5. I haven't figured out Carnival yet. Yeah, so anyways, so I said to the kids, I like to give them examples, and I think this is why they enjoy listening. And I said, so I was sitting there yesterday and I take a couple pictures, check these out. And I didn't keep this, but I made this for you. And I posted them on my Instagram. And I asked the kids, I'm like, so what have I just told the world? That's what one of them said. And then I went and, what else am I telling them? Yeah, where I'm not. That's really dangerous, where I'm not. And I know in the Chicagoland area around spring break time, robbers and burglars start watching social media accounts. Because what happens? These families go and they're like, look at us on the beach. Okay, that's great, you're on the beach and I know it's spring break in Glen Ellen, so I know that your house is completely empty.
I find that the real story is happening because somebody posted on Facebook, it's happening in my hometown in Kerala. And then the police finally figured out that it was on social media. They can figure it out there and do it. Whole house. They were in there for the whole week, because they knew when they were coming.
I think George is gonna get out and walk out.
You
I know, but I see him over
I
there.
can ask more questions.
So back to what I said to the kids. I said, so, I posted that last night and I woke up this morning and I realized that I kind of told the whole world that I'm not home. So I deleted it. Is it gone? And I go, well, where is it? And usually I didn't give them much chance, but usually kids will go, well, it's still there. And I'm like, okay, but here's my phone and here's my Instagram account and it's not there. Well, it's in your deleted pictures. No, I double deleted it. Oh, okay. So where is it? What goes up stays there. Where is it? It's not here. And they're like, what did you say? That's what they say. That's what I was doing. And so then I go, okay, you know what? What does that mean? It's on I don't really understand what this cloud thing is. It's like up on a white fluffy thing? What is it? Okay, that's not gonna help them, right? So I'm like, you're right, it is on the cloud, but that's not gonna hurt me. So where is it? And invariably somebody goes, someone took a screenshot. Yes. Like, I don't care about the cloud. I mean, yeah, if they're a mass murderer, a police officer is gonna issue a search warrant to Instagram and comb through and get the picture. That's not what we're talking about. I'm talking about the everyday mistakes. So the big risk is the screenshotting, and they totally forget about that. And they get caught up in, well, my account is private. And one of the disconnects for them, because they've grown up with all this tech all their lives, is that they feel like this conversation is the same. It's the same as this conversation. That when I tell you something, and it's just the three of us talking, unless you go gossip behind my back, my words are not sacred. You guys might trust you and you're my friends and all that. But I tell them it's not the same as having a group chat. It's really not, because I'm putting it down on paper and it lives forever. And someone takes a screenshot. So let's say, I'm very careful and I have my account set to private and I follow all the rules and I only connect to the people that I know in real life. And all these things that I told them the whole 2 hours, like 3 hours, I was talking to them. Like, I can go back and I can say, remember I said about that? Like, I do all that, right? So I'm okay if I post this to my 10 friends on Instagram who I know everything about and they are my best friends and they would never hurt me, right? Am I okay to post it? No, because, and kids will look at it and go, yeah, of course, yeah, that's good. And I said, no, because what I didn't, that's me. That's how I've set up my accounts and how I've been very judicious about who I create as my followers. But my friend right here, Susan is all about followers. All she wants to do is have the most followers ever. So your account is public, and your account is 5,000 friends. 5,000 friends? No, if I died tomorrow, other than my very large family, I couldn't get more than 20 people to come to a funeral. But anyways, but you're different, and you have different tolerance, and maybe I'm a very focused athlete that wants a college scholarship, and I'm very careful about what I post, because we'll talk a little bit about that in a minute. But you don't care. You're all about social media. So I post something, because you're my follower, my private account, and you take a screenshot, and you think it's fine, and you post it on your account. Now she shared it with 5,000 people. And I intended to share it with only a few people. So it's really about getting them to understand that when you're online, you absolutely don't control your audience. You really have no control over your audience.
I'll tell you a quick story.
Yes.
So we live on a mango farm.
Mhm.
This summer, somebody who will remain nameless videoed a theft in progress, right?
On the farm.
Yeah, two adults, a whole huge group of young kids, right?
Stealing mangoes.
Stealing mangoes to get back into the car, it's a little confrontation. But license plate, car, faces, all, viewed. And for us, it's done as a security thing, and it's shared within the residents of the property. And, but someone who shall also remain nameless sent it to the agricultural chat, which is because we're, some of us are part of this farming chat, and that's 200 farmers who also are sick and tired of perennial larceny and people stealing their produce, so we're like trying to crack down. But someone there posted it on Facebook, and then it became a TikTok video, and before we knew it, you had hundreds and hundreds of people commenting, what is racist white people, doing this, posting these things, and why didn't they do this to this family and this kid? So a lot of fallout.
Yeah.
Just because one innocent post to a family chat that got sent.
Well, and then
It was totally justified.
an account to the agricultural that felt like it was still within the relevant, that's,
They want
good
to
example.
shame thieves, basically.
I told him he had to be at this thing for 7 days, but he didn't.
Apparently, no one listens to you.
I did a horrible case for a young lady who was actually arrested. Because we do have on our books laws where you can be prosecuted for certain acts of criminal slander and similar offenses. And there was a situation where she'd broken up with her boyfriend. And she was then accused of having put something on her boyfriend's phone. To find out when I went to go into it a little bit further, the young man had taken some very compromising video of himself. And someone within his close circle accessed his phone, found the video, and put it on as his WhatsApp status. So every time he called somebody, that
Oh, his
video.
profile, that's his.
His profile, yeah.
Yeah, the profile, yeah.
So every time he was calling somebody, this horrific image of a young man experimenting homosexually with himself came up. And that's an example of how,
I wanted to experiment for a second.
No, you don't.
But doesn't he see his?
That's, you know what, Alex, that's for another seminar.
I know, it's
Yes, agreed. Right, because anyone can pick that up, and then, you see how I link everything together? We had long discussions about, screen codes on phones and not giving them out. And the problem is that people give their passwords or their access codes to their significant others or their best friend, and I'm sitting there telling these guys, don't do that. That doesn't mean you love someone more or you're a better friend. It means that you're really vulnerable when the relationship blows up, which most of the relationships at an adolescent age blow up.
But then behaviors that are accused of cheating if they won't get their codes. Most men are accused of cheating if their wives don't have their codes.
Okay, well then don't be taking the bad.
And then he has your phone, you don't know.
You should have seen him checking my chat GPT on the way out. He's like, oh, because I told her I was
All right, back here. I said we were gonna try and get out of here at a reasonable time, and we're off the rails. Tina has a story for everyone.
So my son Aiden, we were in Greece last summer, and I noticed him in the corner busy doing something, and then I didn't know what he was doing, and I kept looking, and then I started to see his face change, and then I started to see him cry, and then he looked like he was about to just lose it. And I'm like, "Hey, what's wrong?" And
How old is
his
he?
hands are trembling. He was at the time, we were 15.
Okay.
So I said, "Hey, what's going on?" And he just burst out crying, just, "Someone's gone into my computer and they have video of me." And I was like, "Wait, what?" So I got there and basically he had clicked on a link that his friend sent me, which was a virus type thing. And when he clicked on it, they got access to everything, all his photos, the
Yep,
camera.
yep.
And they sent him a video of himself with grease and everything behind him. And they told him that if he didn't give them a certain amount of money, that they had access to all his credit cards and everything. So Aiden thought somehow that my credit cards were in his system. He goes, "Mom, you have to cancel all your credit cards." I said, "Don't worry, my credit cards are not there. We can fix this, calm down, I got this." And me and my sister took his computer away and we spent 2 hours trying to fix it. But my point in saying that is that people can get in and look at photos that you might have, that you might think, okay, I'm gonna take these photos, but I'm not gonna send it to anyone. But like a lot of young girls like to take
Yeah,
sexy
yeah.
photos of themselves, they leave it there, and then some fool can get into your computer, get those, and put them out on porn or whatever.
Yeah, so that's a good segue. I was gonna talk about tomorrow night, but I'll say something now. I talked to the kids today about something called sextortion. Have you ever heard that term? The number one, and not one boy in there heard about it. And it is, I don't think it's any different in the Bahamas, but it is the number one danger to boys. I said 13 to, it's funny, I kind of go 13 because of social media, but you know, teenage boys up until they're adults. It's the number one threat to our boys. It's called sextortion, and it's resulting in suicide rates going way up. And what sextortion is it's that predator model, but instead of asking them to meet them, like they want to meet them face to face and abduct them, what they're doing is they're meeting them on gaming platforms, and they're targeting boys. And they meet them, and they typically present themselves as an attractive young teenage girl, and they game with them. They're always good at whatever game that they meet the child on. And they build that relationship, and they start to groom them, and they're talking to them, and they collaborate, and they strategize on the game together, and a relationship forms, a romantic relationship at 15, 16, whatever.
Yeah, he's like good at the moment.
Yes, well, what happens is as soon as that bad actor realizes that this kid's all in, they think we're in a relationship. I mean, it's even hard to talk about an online relationship, but they think they're in this online relationship, and they do one or two things. They either ask for a nude picture or video, or they often send one first. And when they send one first, it creates, and then they say, like, hey, pick for pick.
Yeah.
Send me one. You owe me one. I sent you one. Come on. And you also have to remember, it's in this feeling of, you know, flirt and romance, euphoria. And so as soon as that kid sends the picture, the nude, immediately comes back as a threat. Give me $200 Venmo by 6 o'clock tonight, or that picture is going boom, boom, and they throw every threat. What they're trying to do, if I can give you a visual, is back that child so far into a corner that they feel completely and totally trapped, and that their only option is to cough up the money, where they have to steal it, go into their savings, whatever. But they want that child to feel trapped, and they will say things like, I'm gonna send it, I'm gonna spread it all over your school, I'm gonna send it to your coach, I'm gonna send it to your parents, to your pastor. And then they say things like, and if you know if that picture gets out, your life is over. I mean, they are ruthless. And a lot of kids find the money and get it, and then sit back and go, oh my gosh, phew, I'll never do it again. And you know what happens the next day? Knock, 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 I need more. And within the course of about 2 months, I had 3 calls in 2 months. The first call it was about a 2-week courtship, and the boy cocked up the picture, and the next day he got a text message from the father. I saw what you sent my daughter, that's child porn, and I'll go to the police in your town, you'll be arrested. I'll send it to your football coach, he'll kick you off the team, I'll send it all over your school, social suicide, and I'll send it to your parents, they will kill you. He goes, so you give me $300 by 5 o'clock. This kid back borrowed and stole and Venmoed it, sat back on his bed and went, okay. And the next day he got another message, you know what? I need another 200. And that was when the light bulb went, even if I had 200, it's never gonna stop. And he died that day.
So what are the instructions for this? What are,
He killed himself that day.
He killed himself. He died by suicide that day. 3 weeks later, I get another call from a family in Ohio, and this one happened within 6 hours. The young man was gaming on a Saturday morning. He played a football game Friday night with his high school. And these aren't losers, right? A lot of kids sit there and go, well, it's kids that were me because I have a million friends and I'm an athlete. And it's like, no, these are kids that are athletes with friends, that are good students, that have stable families. It attacks anyone. I'll tell you, the internet is the one thing that doesn't discriminate.
so what is?
And so, hang on, I'll get to it. And so this kid was gaming in Saturday morning, and someone started gaming with him, and they went after him the first 2 hours, and they just bugged him, come on, what's wrong? Send me something, give me something. And he kept saying, no, I can't do, no, I'm not doing that. And finally he got worn down, and he gave up a video, and the kid came back, and so the person came back and said, I need money. And he died that day, like 5 hours from beginning to end of this scheme. The third story was a woman called me at 8 o'clock in the morning, and she was in tears. She said, stranger, I need to talk to you. My 17-year-old son came to me at 2 o'clock in the morning last night. What happened? He sent a nude to someone. And I said, let me guess, now he's being extorted. Yes. And I said, you are really lucky. And she said, what in the world do you mean I'm really lucky? I said, your son came to you because you're the third call I've gotten in 2 months, and your son's the only one still here. So what do it goes back to.
Finishing this, and that most of the time, the predator behind it is a man.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that was an interesting point here, was that when in Bohemian culture, now what we're gonna layer on top of it, not just the picture, but the fact that it's a man that he shared a nude with. And the shame of homosexuality and all that is obviously much more prevalent here.
And the teacher also mentioned that there was a 11-year-old who was trying to say they can bounce another teacher.
Mhm.
Boy, quite a scheme issue.
So, yeah, it's just, and typically they're not some creepy guys sitting in a basement trying to make a buck. They are big rings offshore in another country. So the boy in Michigan that died, the FBI tracked 2 guys from Nigeria, and they brought them back to the US and they're in jail. What do? First of all, you talk to kids about sextortion. You cannot expect kids to protect themselves about something that they can't see and they don't know anything about. So I get parents that say, I don't want to talk about this with my child. Well, if you're letting them game online, you better be talking to them, because they can't protect themselves from things they have no knowledge of, especially when they can't see that person. And, they think, well, this is a nice girl and she's fun and she's cute and I know what I'm doing. That's what yeah. And the other thing is that kids think they got it going and they can manage themselves, especially teenagers are the worst, because there's just such a disconnect from, they're just in this middle ground where they think they're adults, but they're not. I'm not a loser. I'm not your enemy.
But the thing is, I mean, I could
AI is another.
Now, how do I know you're real? Show me a video chat with me. Now they can, through AI avatars, and you wouldn't even know.
Well, the other big risk is that now those images of, like, an image of me is created with you. And it's impossible to detect that that's not my picture, but it was created. So we're doing, so I would say, talk to them. I would say, this is where I go back to that golden ticket, or what was the other thing you used? What was it? Parachute.
You got a legitimate criminal situation that if you don't facilitate the blackmail, their life comes crashing down around them
Well, so can I
quickly.
I'll say one thing to that.
So.
can say one thing?
Research,
Are
how will you go?
child?
Research shows, and this is one thing I tell the kids, is that like almost over 90% of the time, the pictures never come out. Because as soon as the kid throws up some resistance and says, I'm not sending you any money, you get lost, I'm going to the police. You know what they do? Drop. and they go to the next one, and it goes back to, they're not working one kid. They're working hundreds of kids. So it goes back to the whole TikTok thing that we said with you. If you put up resistance, I'm not gonna work with this because I got 99 other kids that aren't gonna put up resistance. That have their parents on.
These things traceable, like,
So-
like an extortion.
Yeah, I mean,
Unless it's a personal bullying targeted attack. Like a kid in school gets a picture of you and it's like intent on terrorizing you and things like that.
correct, that's a different situation, but they know that because they know, that's, you know what happens in that, that's called, we call that in the US revenge porn. So you and I are hot and heavy as 16 years old, we're in love. And I send you, you asked, like, please send me, you know, one night we're flirting, and you send me a nude. And of course, I'm in love with you. And I, don't anyone repeat this to Patty, please. And I send you that picture, and you're great, you're very respectful, and you know, this is just between us, and, well, you know what, a month later,
Break up.
I'm sleeping with George. And you're mad, and hurt, and angry. What do you have? You have revenge porn that you're gonna spread all over high school.
And that happens a lot here.
Oh, yeah.
Terrible.
It goes,
There have been some incidents where they've been prosecuted for it,
it's called revenge porn.
so.
So I just wanted to share my story because it happened to one of my many sons. And my son started courting a girl online and they were talking back and forth and getting interested. And she got naked for him and asked him to get naked for her. And then she revealed herself. And he said, Mom, she was beautiful, long black hair, like really a beautiful, hot, kind of Latino looking girl. Revealed that it was actually a man. So he came to me hysterical. And what am I gonna do? My life is ruined. She says she wants money. He says he wants money from me, and I have to give him money tonight, and blah, 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 blah. I get on the internet, and I told the predator, if you want, sorry, God, if you don't want me to rip your fucking head off, keep going. And I made me delete the account right away before you could do any more. Because the guy put the phone down, because we, you know, it was, at that point, it was on like almost a live thing. And he obviously did not, that brazen, he obviously did not realize that X would come straight to me. Well, my boys have always come straight to me with all of their stuff that I have to undo. But I was terrified, I was shaking and so angry. I said, because my daddy always said, do not let anyone blackmail you. No matter what happens in life, you come to me. So they come to me. But it was like, you know, and he was for weeks afterwards, he was terrified. Every time the phone rang, every time, and you know, he wouldn't go near a computer, he was like traumatized, poor thing. It was horrifying, but then I was never contacted again.
Yeah.
Ever.
No, they really, really, really tend to go away. Sadly, because there's a million more that they're after. Careful threatening, you know, like as I say, talk to your kids, let them know this exists. But the more you kind of, like, but don't you, if you do this will be a huge problem. They internalize that and that prevents that from happening. And that's the suicide side of things. So you guys are all great parents. You will find that balance of I want to talk and I want them to understand how serious the risks are, but I need to make sure they know there's a parachute here in the house.
Yeah.
You know, and I got their back. I got their back all day long, every day. And you'll find that balance. Okay, we're not getting out early, but that's not my fault. So the second thing I talked about with the kids is that what they put online creates an online reputation. We talked about what reputation was. It's what, I think it's important to help them understand this. It's what someone thinks of you. And when I first asked the students, like, what does reputation mean? I got some interesting, you know, they were intelligent responses of like, it's who I am, or it's what I do. And I said, not exactly. It's what someone thinks of you, which may or may not be accurate. But, that's in life, you know, like I'm here 3 nights. George is gonna walk out of here like singing my praises. She's so good, she knows her stuff. Evans has listened to me like all day, every day, to be like, she's annoying, I'm mad with her. But you take these opinions out to the, especially for me with business, and you are, you know, we take that out. And then someone says, I need someone to talk about internet safety. And what, do you know anything about Liz Repking? And, you know, Alex is like, she's the best, you gotta have her, that's my reputation. Now, that same thing happens online, and they can end up being 2 very different reputations, both in person and online. So I talk to the kids, I try and help them understand this whole idea. I talk about a book. I said, every time we go online, we create a book about ourselves, and mine is called The Book of Liz. And hundreds and hundreds and thousands of people read the Book of Liz. They go online and they look at my stuff. And they look at the pictures I post and the comments I make and the language that I use as if they're reading every page of that book is like a post online or a text or something that they see online. And what we know is when we get to the end of the book, we have an opinion. And you may read a book and say, that's the best book I've ever read. So I want them to understand, you can't really control what you think of the Book of Liz and what you think of the Book of Liz. And kids go, well, that's not really fair. No, that's called life. Like, I can't control your thoughts and your opinions. What I can control is what I choose to put on the pages of the book. That is the part that's in your control. Realize that lots of people are reading the book, and you want to make sure that you put your best stuff in that book, the stuff you're most proud of. Don't create a book that's a bunch of lies either, because when someone figures out that it's lies, you got a terrible reputation. So it's really about putting those right things up there. So then we go a level deeper and see, but what really online builds that reputation? The pictures you post, they get that. Pictures worth 1,000 words. You already said that tonight. Second thing and the third thing are similar. I tell them it's the comments that you make and the language that you use. And then I look at them and I say, I'm kind of saying the same thing, but I'm moving words around. And someone's like, yeah. And so I said, okay, let's do an example. And this is where I use Sarah. And I said, if I said to Sarah, I went and saw her play soccer and we played a great game Friday night. Am I saying something positive? They're like, yeah. That reflects well on me because I posted that online. And consequently, it reflects well on Sarah. That's the other thing I didn't talk about with them, but you know, what other people say about us online impacts our reputation. So I said, let me change it up a little bit. Maybe I said, Sarah, you played a blanking good soccer game Friday night because I want to emphasize how good she played, and I used an F-bomb. Kids are like, oh, right? So did I say something nice? Did I say something nice to Sarah? Yes or no? It was nice. A lot of times kids right away go, no. And I'm like, and then someone goes, well, I often get kids go, well, yeah, no. What?
But she's got a disreputable friend.
Okay.
Who curses? That's what I'm saying. Like,
Yeah.
She's now known as someone who has
Maybe.
someone.
Right, it's like, you know, the lunchroom, if we all eat lunch together, and you are totally obnoxious, and throw food and swear and yell at the lunch people, and I sit there, the reputation is like, I'm group dead. Oh, that table's awful. But anyways, what I want them to see is that you can say, like, not mean things, you can be very nice, but when something happens when kids get into 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th grade where it gets really exciting to swear and they're kind of like testing their limits and flexing their muscles. What I want, and honestly, that's your battle to fight their language. I'm just fighting the online language. So, and I'll tell them, like, say what you want when you're hanging out with your buddies on the playground, but don't put it online because people are going to read it. And I'll never forget when I had a 7th grade boy raise his hand, and I gotta tell you, I love when they raise their hands and they challenge me, because they're really thinking. And this boy said, you know, Mrs. Repton, I understand what you're saying about bad language, but me and all my buddies, we all talk about this. So when we do that online, no one thinks less of us. And I'm like, really? Let's go back. P.S. Everyone can see it. And he's like, what do you mean? And I go, well, let's do a little role play. And I think I used, this is where I used Gabrielle. And I said, so, and I don't know what the girl sitting next to her, what was the girl's name next to her? Yeah, okay, well, there you go. Say your name again? Valentia. So I said, Valentia's my daughter, and your best friend is. And every time Gabrielle comes over to our house, she's like, hello, how are you? Have a good day, Mrs. Redking, or whatever. You know, it's just so polite, right? And she leaves, and I always say, she's the best. She's my adopted ex. I love her. She can be here anytime. I'll feed her every meal. Love her. In fact, you should be more like her. And then one day I grab your phone and I start looking through your WhatsApp messages. And I see a message between Gabrielle and you and whoever the girl was, it was her pal. Sitting there, 3 of you, and I'm reading this. And there's like 47 F-bombs in every message Gabrielle says. Gabrielle says, no, like, and I said, so I now look at this and I'm going to Valentia. Is that Gabrielle? Like, does she really? No. I thought she was really different. Not really sure about her anymore. And in the 7th grade boys, I'm doing this same thing with him. He's like, all right, I get it. I get what you're saying. I go, no, I'm not done yet. That night I go out for dinner, out for a glass of wine with my 3 other girlfriends and our moms of all the other kids. And you happen to be a teacher at the school as well. And I'm like, would you look at how she talks? Look at it. Did you know you thought she was super nice too, didn't you? Got a mouth like a sewer. Right?
That happened with my daughter in school here.
Yeah.
There was a group of guys, there were a bunch of friends, and they were talking some really smutty smack about the girls.
Smutty smack.
Yeah, smutty smack. Sexualized stuff
Yeah,
and things
yeah.
like that. Not realizing that one of the guys was very friendly with the girls and was like, look what these fools are saying about y'all. So all of a sudden, what was a localized conversation, and I would be doing my daughter a service, and I didn't say she was extremely traumatized by that.
Yeah.
You know, that was not a pleasant thing to deal with.
So that kid said there, and he went, yeah, message received. Great. Stop swearing online, even in your group text, because people are gonna see it.
We have the advantage here in the Bahamas is in that, you know, in order to get into the United States, we need a visa.
Yeah.
And it is now law that you cannot apply for a visa without opening all of your social media profiles and giving access to that
I love it.
to the visa department. So right now, it's not a lie to tell the kids, Uncle Sam is watching everything you say.
Right. You know, that's true, because I told you last night, my son, my oldest son, is very much in love with a girl in Brazil. And he's gone there 3 times, and she wanted to come to the US. And he could just go with his passport. And so she had to go through a whole visa. She was petrified, and they hired a consultant to help her. And the first thing the consultant said was,
What's your online profile?
delete everything related to Camden's mother, everything online. You cannot be friends with them. You cannot have pictures, because in the visa process, they're gonna look at her social media and say, oh, you have a boyfriend in the US? You talk to his mother? No visa for you. So she deleted it all. Which kind of leads right into, this is your future. I didn't spend a ton of time with these guys, because they're few, like, I'm kind of talking about stuff that they're not really grasping. Yeah. Probably tomorrow with the high school kids, I'll try and push that a little bit harder. And then I walked through this is the one that Gabrielle helped me with. And it was really funny, because she was sitting here going, oh my God, wow. Like, she literally, if I could have had a camera on her, she reacted exactly. Do you remember that? This was very powerful to her. So I said, is my account public or private? Does anyone know?
No personal?
This account. Look at my profile. Do you know if it's public or private?
It says no.
Oh,
It's locked. Yeah, so that,
oh, I gotta look at this.
that little lock there, look at how steady my hand is.
So, hold on, so how come you did those? Is it like,
Well, because I was taking screenshots of my own. It's just, yeah.
But the profile is public.
That's a great point, and I did mention that to the kids, is that your profile is always public regardless of your account setting. And what's really interesting is that, at least in the US, and I'm not sure the kids do it here, they always put a picture of themselves, they put their school and their graduation year. And they've just given a treasure trove of information, kind of in terms of what's the trend.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know how old you are, I know about where you live, they'll put sports up there, I know what your interests are. You're giving a predator a lot of information to sort of like build a relation. Hey, you run cross country, so do I. We talked yesterday, you were here, we talked about that need to create connection with them. And it gives them a lot of room to do that. But anyways, officer, I like how you think, you're catching me. How many followers do I have on my, well, do we understand the difference between a public and private account? Everybody does? Okay, she is the cutest thing. So I have 150 followers, meaning that if I post a picture, my intent is to share it with 150 people. That ultimately is the whole purpose of social media, right? To share stuff with your people. So I take this great picture of me and Maeve, this was during COVID, and I put a total mom comment and I posted and I said, the best part of lockdown is having my running buddy with me. And even Gabrielle was like, ugh, like a total mom post. And I put it up and I'm sharing with 150 people. But what's interesting is about 4 hours after I posted, this is what I hear coming down the stairs in my house. Mom, take that picture down. It's cringy. So I delete it. Oops, I delete it. But, and I asked Gabrielle, how many people do we think might have seen it? She said 150. I go, any more than that? She goes, no. I go, why not? Because your account is private. So there's that perfect example of the kid's perception of the account's private, I control how many people see this. And I said, right, you're right, let's talk about what happened. So Ian is my middle child, public or private account officer. Public, no lock. And he has 1,156 dear close friends. And he takes a screenshot and he reposts, and I'm clear with the kids, he wasn't trying to bully his sister, wasn't doing anything malicious. And he reposts it, ha, Nate got stuck running with my mom. And he shares it with 1,156 people. Then Nate's best friend Olivia, who also follows me, public account, 984, does the same thing. She shares it with 984 people. Don't forget, I had it, doesn't even exist. I share it with 150 people. So at the end of the day, and this was the fun part that I did. Did you hear this? No. And I'm like, so Gabrielle, what is that? Quick, add that up. She's like, ah! Yeah, she was looking at me like, why are you doing this? And then I said 2,290. But that was the point that she went, oh. Like it was like they have a literal physical reaction of, well, we just spent like 20 minutes talking about what goes up, stays up, you don't control your audience, but you literally can see that when you walk them through something, that's when the message really goes, oh, wow. That word private account, it's so misleading because people like me tell them over and over, make sure your accounts are private, make sure your accounts are private. But then I'm gonna come back and say, nothing you put online is private. And it's like, boom, right? So we just gotta kind of try to clarify and give examples and tell stories. That was when you are on social media and like TikTok and they have built-in guardrails based on that birth year.
Oh, yeah.
That's different. Instagram is, yes. So Instagram has a few of their own sort of safety settings keying off that birth year. And I think each platform's doing their own thing. There's no kind of standard to it. A private account means, and this is more globally across social media, if I set my account to private, it means that if you want to, like my account is set to private, this Instagram account, and if you went home and you went and searched me, Liz Repking, and you found my profile picture and my profile information, oh, that's Liz. That's what you're gonna see, and then you're gonna have to hit request to follow. You're gonna hit a button, and I'm gonna get a message that you would like to follow me, and then I have a decision. Do I decline it or do I accept it? If I accept it, you're in, and now you can see all those pictures. Okay, that's the private setting does. That's based on the age, and that's specific to each platform. So if you're curious as to, okay, what's Instagram doing? Just go home tonight and Google, what are safety settings for young kids on Instagram, and see what it comes up with.
You find that as you educate, people are engaging less, therefore less anxious, or are they continuing to engage more responsibly? What's the?
Engage like with me in the
engage
conversation,
with,
or
with
engage
social
online?
media? Are they
And are you talking about the
just
kids?
The kids, yeah.
You know, I wouldn't know that because I don't really see them afterwards, but one of the things we do at the end is I ask them, is everyone in this room walking out with something, one thing that you're gonna do or change or think about? And today the kids said, yeah. And then I go a little bit deeper and I go over to my 3 girlfriends and I'm like, what's yours? And I think theirs was about controlling their social media a little bit better. A couple kids over here were talking about passwords. Your son, Mericles, was like, his words were, I have work to do. Passwords. And then I had several teachers like furiously taking notes and saying, I have no idea that I shouldn't use the same password for every account. I'm going, I have work to do too. So in that room, it's, you know, the kids are getting a lot, but a lot of those teachers were like, we didn't know that. Right.
I don't have to. I really have.
No, it's so funny because, and I said that in the room, I said, you know, guys, I'm here to talk to you students, but I'm talking to everyone. And I tell the kids, like, look, it's not you, it's all of us are making all these mistakes and struggling.
Are there reputation defenders? Like, I know that there's a, in the States, there's something called reputation defenders, cleaning up your online profile, or at least your Google profile.
Yeah.
But are there services that can sort of go after people, go after cleaning up your?
Cleaning it up? I don't know, I'd have to look into that a little bit. I do know one day,
People have made so many mistakes, like, you have to live the rest of your life with the dirt that's been put on.
Yeah. I look at how my kids treat social media, and again, they're 27, 24, 21, they're launched. I'm out of the equation, but all 3 of my kids are very cautious in what they post, very cautious, and it's all very sort of innocuous type of stuff. I think it's a delight of hearing me talk about this. They won't credit me. They do, but they won't give me credit, they'll just,
People are so what everyone is. So one day we started writing behind the scenes. So one day they was like, oh, what is this new here? I said, here is this long. So while I showed like when I use my hair, somebody's like, and then like they said they use this picture. So yeah, I was doing some transactions. So that person went after another person, that she was in me because I never saw that person with this is how the native people are. So hang on up when you send calls, make sure you get about it every time, but you could put a window, watch it down, because sometimes you're doing Zoom, you never know when you're on your phone or Zoom that maybe in the bathroom and you just click it while you're doing you hear it, you know, Zoom, you know, Zoom, be very careful. And then let's say depending on what you do while you're on a call, you want to always make sure that your camera's closed. So before you go on to this phone call, click the mute, click the camera, and watch it. Because people are evil.
Yeah.
Bye. So you'll be on Zoom, you don't know where your picture is.
You got two of them.
You guys over there? Keep it on.
Okay, so the other thing we wanted to talk about quickly, and I'll go pretty quick through this, is cyberbullying. That's just a quick graphic on the impacts, like something like 60% of kids have experienced online hate. 90% report that they've seen it. They all can see it. So how does it impact them and what are the behaviors? But what I talk to them about is, no, I didn't talk, I talked at a small table yesterday at lunch, we talked about this with that group. I always want to tell kids, you know, what happens if you feel like you are being bullied. And I tell them the first action you should take is you should get off of the site, go away from where it's happening. You know, yesterday I said to them, or I said to you guys that I do a lot of parallels to real life and online life, because they see, like, the real life stuff is so painfully obvious to them. And so sometimes I'll say to kids, like, if you and I, if the four of us eat lunch together every day, and it was fine last year, and now this year we come back, and for some reason I am at you every day, I'm making fun of you every day to the point that you don't want to come to school, and you're sad, and all that kind of stuff. I can say this to a third grader. I'll say, where are you going to eat tomorrow? Now the little tiny third grader looked up at me, I'm not with you. You're exactly right. And that's human nature, right? We put our hand on a hot stove, what do? Pull it back, right? That's a physical. But people really we want them to do the same thing emotionally. If someone's hurting them, we want them to move away from it. And when I do that kind of in-person example, that makes total sense to them. Now when we do that online, we're on a group chat or WhatsApp group or whatever, and I'm coming at you every single day. I want you to go sit somewhere else. I want you to log off or even just physically put it down, right? Because what's literally, when I say killing our kids, I mean killing our kids. It's the fact that they're sitting there and reading every single mean comment that's being made about them. And it was interesting because the Ministry of Education, Alyssa, that was her name, right?
Yeah.
She's a little bit younger.
Yeah, she looks.
She's in her 30s, I think.
Yeah.
And she talked about that she went through a lot of this, and at our table yesterday, she talked about how it's different online. It's very hard to put it down. It's hard for kids to put it down. Even they want to know.
Everything.
They want to see every comment. And kids say that to me, and I say, put it down. And they'll say, but then I won't know what they're saying. And I'm like, you're right, you won't. Absolutely. And we live in a tough world where people are mean and people talk behind your back. But if I don't know, if I don't have to see it, that's the part that's making me miserable every single day and wanting me to hurt myself. Yes? These are good questions.
Do we know how many of the comments that actually are made are real versus false?
No, I don't know that.
I'm on like Twitter, I watch Twitter, I follow a lot of things, but the majority of the handles are not
Yeah,
real people.
right.
It's like George Mealis 22, and it's like chapter 16,
Right.
and a lot of the responses have to be thoughts or.
Yeah, it's like computer generated.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, but my bigger concern with the youth is even the cruelty that's coming within their own groups, right? There's so much drama in, I call them group chats. Does that make sense with you guys? The group chats with kids, and the thing about it, it's a lot of it is the nature of it. Kids are younger, 5th, 6th, 7th grade, and they're on these massive group chats with 10, 15, 20 people on them, whole classes. Yeah, and there's just a couple nasty people, and they're really mean, they're toxic, and the problem is that, again, I go back to, they have a lot of power with these devices, and they also are dealing with the fact that at this age, when they're online, they don't have the experience to understand how their words impact someone. So they think I'm joking, I'm fooling around, But they don't know, I don't know that all those jokes are leaving you at home feeling isolated and lonely and broken and sad and contemplating self-harm and all that stuff. And I'm at home going, I'm so funny. I'm really killing it tonight. And I don't mean killing it, I mean like funny. And I think part of that is the fact, like everyone says they hide behind the screen. I think that's true, but I don't think it's intentional hiding. I think it's an ignorance. Like, I know in 57 years that sometimes I say something that I don't intend to be offensive, or I ask a million questions, and for a long time I never understood why sometimes that put people off, because from my perspective, I'm curious and I'm interested. But I throw that same sort of, hey, where are you from? You're in India, tell me, like, and maybe you're a very private person, maybe that's your culture, or your religion, or whatever. And I don't know that, but now after having done that and having people look at me like, like I've learned that, not everybody is open and transparent, and there's different cultures, and there's different religions, and there's different personalities, and there's different tolerance for questions. But kids haven't had that experience. So they only look at it from their own, we talked about this too, this would be a great thing to talk about with your kids. The idea of inside out versus outside in. Think about that. The way I act online, you're thinking, aren't you? Yeah, it's your thinking. Am I inside out or am I outside in? Inside out means I have something in my head and all I want to do is get it out. Whether it's a comment in a group chat or whether it's a post on social media. This kind of goes back to our world that we're living in with the it's my right to say what I want versus, I'm kind of looping back to your cancel culture discussion. We have really gotten to a point where it's like, it's my right to say what's ever in my head and get it in the world. That's inside out. And whether it's what you're posting online or what I'm saying to people, whether it's social media or bullying, that's what I want the kids to start going outside in, where it's if I put this out there, how will it impact another person? Or how will this impact the world? How will the world view this? Inside jokes are really rough for kids because, you and I have a running joke about something. And when I throw a picture or make a comment, you know exactly what I mean, you have context to it. But when it goes out to the world, they don't have context. So they interpret that based on their vantage point of their world, their religious beliefs, their traditions, their cultures, whatever it is. And if I don't start giving some thought to that, yeah, it's my right to say what I want, but there's a consequence to that right. And the consequence is the world has a right to think what they want or to feel what they want. So really trying to get kids to start thinking about how does this impact, how will this be viewed, how will I be viewed? It doesn't matter how I intend it, because now I'm putting it on a place that I don't control the audience, I don't control, context is a huge thing. Here's an example I often give in the US, you'll have to help me if this will translate tomorrow. Red Solo cups. What does that represent when you think of high schoolers? Drinking, right? Right? A party with a high school party with a bunch of Red Solo cups. So one of the examples I'll give the kids is, you and I are besties, we graduate from 8th grade, we make a pact, like I really want to play college soccer, you really are just focused and you're maybe part of our group too, but we're gonna make a pact, we're gonna hold each other accountable that we're not drinking or doing drugs in high school, right? Deal? Pinky swear, and we're gonna support each other, hang out. You guys are part of our group, you're to take our pact, no judgment. You're gonna drink like fish through high school, no, I'm kidding. So when four of us get together on Friday nights, we hang out in my basement. Do we have basements here? I know. We hang out in my garage and we play ping pong. And we have Red Solo cups. So in the US, the kids play what's called beer pong. But you know what we call it? We call it water pong. Right? Isn't this fun? So we can still play the ping pong with the Solo cups. But what's in those Solo cups? water, you know too, right? And you know. So when we post our pictures from our little party, you look at it, you may not even have been there, but you look at it and you go, oh, there's little Lonnie playing their water pong. Because you have context to us and what our values are and what we've done, right? Told you I was, I want to play soccer. I get a full scholarship to North Carolina, Tar Heels in the US, big deal. And so when I post that picture and my coach of the women's soccer program in North Carolina sees it, what are you gonna assume is in those red Solo cups? And you know, we've had lots of conversations. And I've told you, sir, I don't drink. I've made a pact, I will not drink or do drugs. You're like, great. And then 2 weeks later, you see the red Solo cups. What's not gonna happen is that you're gonna pick up the phone and say, Liz, what was in that Solo cup? You're gonna go, liar, typical kid, out. Don't want her on my team. And it's probably not my, it could be the drinking, it could be the lying, doesn't matter. That's out. So I want people to understand, it goes back to that whole idea of controlling your audience. You don't control your audience so that everybody that sees your stuff doesn't have context to who you are and what you're about. So that's really important. And so leave the app. Yeah.
I have one question, nothing to do with cyber bullying, then.
Okay, I need to pray. I want to keep going, because I feel like I'm going to get Georgia a heart attack in a moment. It's very emotionally taxing on you. You're not coming back from it, are you? Second thing is really encourage kids to go to an adult and ask for some help. They have a perception that if you go to an adult, it's gonna get worse, right? Stitches get stitches. And we talked, like yesterday with the teachers, we talked a lot about getting them comfortable with the idea that there are other ways we as adults can support you than just calling everybody in and saying, you bullied and you're a bad person, and they walk out of the principal's office and says, Liz told on us. And they go back to bullying me even more.
This is the one thing I wish you had gone into more with the kids here today,
Yeah.
because those girls rolled in taps because they had been bullied and fought back. And so it's like, bullying is a real thing, but
Oh,
even just show life lessons of how to handle it there to translate it, because they were gonna fight.
Yeah.
They said, I asked if you regret it, and everybody said no.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I would have been able to move the needle on. Block the user and take screenshots. That's really important for you to know as a parent and also for kids to know. That if they even have an inkling that something's going off the rails, tell them to take pictures. If everything is fine and resolves itself in 2 weeks and it's just like kind of a uptick of girl fighting and boy fighting and it resolves itself, they can delete the pictures. But this is the evidence. Whether you go to a school administrator, whether you need to go to law enforcement, whatever it is, you need the proof of what happened. And then, I didn't get into this with these guys today, but I really often point really put an emphasis, actually I did a little bit with the 3 girls. I really push the kids to start advocating for each other. Because at the end of the day, parents at this age, as teenagers, we are the last to know what's going on. But the kids know exactly what's going on with each other. And I want to start really pushing kids to step up a little bit and be leaders and support their friends and say, you know what? Don't worry about what George says. He's just a mean, nasty guy, and I've got your back. I'm with you. And for someone, you have to remember what the intangibles are of someone who's being bullied. Their perception is not accurate. They often think that everybody in the world is seeing it, and everybody that sees it believes it, right? So if you're saying things on a group chat, her perception is, wow, Liz sees it and Liz thinks I did that, and I'm terrible, and this stinks, and I don't want to live, and I can't take it. So and I've talked to so many kids that I said, if one person came to you and said, I got you, would you be okay? And they're like, I would. That would make a huge difference. The power of one cannot be denied. And I think the other thing that you have to realize with kids is that we tend to pile on, right? You start getting on her about something, And then you go, yeah, I thought so too, yeah, that presentation was terrible. And now we sort of have this group thing. And I challenge the kids to say, well, what would happen in that group thing if it was positive? If George's coming at you and I say, you know what? I thought your presentation was pretty good. And Suzanne is usually, Suzanne, I'm sorry, I asked you like 14 times. We should just call you Alex. Just say it. Or Alana, that's another comment. Lenny. Susan might be very shy. You know, she's sitting there. She's sitting there reading all these comments, and you have a heart of gold, and you're like, I feel so bad for her. But you just don't, you don't have that, you know, that social standing or that confidence to step up for her. But the minute I say, you know what, I didn't think your project was so bad, all of a sudden you're like, me too. Or maybe you put a little heart by it. And now the tides turn. So that pile-on of the negative, it can also be pile-on of the positive. Because I think there's a lot of kids sitting there reading all the messages that are going, George is nasty, and I like it, but I don't have, but I don't have the confidence or the social currency to step out, because you know what, if I say something in my project is worse, and guess who George is gonna really attack? Me. I can't deal with him. But as soon as you say something, I can be like, yeah, I agree, or, you know, heart, or exclamation point, or whatever it is. So that's a really good, when you think of the numbers, when you say, okay, 60% are being bullied, but 90% are saying you've seen it, we got 90% of kids who could say, it's okay, I got you. And maybe I'm idealistic, but I'll never give up my positivity. I never will. Because if I get one kid in this room today that decides I'm gonna do that, then Alex, I'm gonna tell you, it's been worth every piece of blood, sweat, and tears you put into doing this. And I know you're frustrated, but I will tell you, I looked at their faces all day, and we made progress on the kids that sat here.
voted in yes.
Yeah, so don't be discouraged.
Yes, very much so.
We're making more progress with them on Thursday. And then, so we talk a lot about bullying, but I want to take it one step lower and talk about what kids really are struggling with is the drama, just digital drama. It may not be that intentional. So when we define bullying, like in a classroom, I say there's a couple components. It has to be repeated. It's not just, George, your shoes are god awful. You're a very kind person. But one mean comment does not make me a bully, or you cannot say I'm being bullied. So that word gets really overused. So it has to be repeated, and there has to be intent to hurt. And that's the big piece that I think among the age group today, I think it's a lot of ignorance and inability to read emotion. And that's why we're seeing
Is
it.
there also a little bit of absence of sort of lines of water off the duck's back or?
I think I'm learning that
That's
here
what
in
my
the
girl said
Bahamas,
yesterday.
there is, but I think someone, I don't know, but
Alicia said it to you, that our culture is that we are supposed to suck it up and take it.
which I think actually makes these issues worse. Because there is this kind of culture of, I can't speak up, I can't ask for help. We can say all over, water off the duck's back. But you can't take the human out of the human. And I can tell you, sticks and stones will break my bones, but your names won't hurt me. And you know, I'm gonna walk out of here tonight, and I'm gonna be crushed that you looked at me all night like this. I know, but I did think about that last night. I'm like, I don't think I was connecting with him. I think I was annoying him. And then today I thought, no, I think this is just how you are. That's why I've turned on you and I've just used you as my example over and over. So, but digital drama is kind of the same thing, but the piece that's absent is that intent. I think it's just the fact that they're kids and they got these tools, these devices, and they don't know what the heck they're doing with them. So it doesn't mean it negates the end result to the child. There's still a lot of hurt and things like that. So I talk to kids about, I make the analogy to a volume button, and I tell them, there's things that you can do online that increase the drama, and there's things that you can do that decrease the drama. And that visual is really helpful. I see kids going, like, they're really thinking about that. So things that increase the drama online is sharing things, making comments public, retaliating, gossiping.
The thing I just want to make a point is that they're also watching the adult example. If you're on Twitter or Facebook, there's more adults than there are kids, and these kids are all watching.
Absolutely, and you can talk the best
They
talk.
want to be in the game too.
Yeah, you can go home and talk the best talk you can to Sarah, but she sees what you do on Twitter, and if you don't do what you're talking to her about,
True.
wipes it all out. And I said that yesterday, I said modeling, mentoring, and talking are the keys. Modeling, and I wish people really realize the modeling is huge, because the modeling starts when the kids come out of the womb, right? Those babies are watching everything. And then they get to be 2 and they're like, I'm not looking at you. I knew your screen was open.
I still remember one of the comments my daughter made when she was in college. I said something and I asked her, well, even if I want to do something wrong, your face will come in front of me.
Oh, I love that.
Once enough, first face will come in front of me, so I can't do anything wrong.
Turning down the volume. This is fun. Turning up the volume, I don't so much on, but this is good. George, you asked me a couple times, what do I tell the kids? Like, you want tangible, actionable items, and this is a good one. So if you feel like there's drama happening, fights, I'll bet those girls from TAPS are having big, ugly fights online with nasty language. But what I tell kids is, like, as soon as, like, you're in a group chat and 2 people start going after you, take it offline. It's the audience that's creating all the drama. I also say, stop messaging and start talking. Let's talk tomorrow at school. Because there's so much more communication that's happening this way, that's not happening this way. Private message them. So again, that's coming up with the group environment and going one-to-one, manage your privacy settings, and step up for someone. So I did terrible at getting you out of here by 8 o'clock. I'm not taking responsibility. You guys sat over there at 8 for a while, and then I had lots of discussion with.
Oh, Bahamian time.
I have a question to you.
You had a question. You were so patient. It's very important.
Can you, I don't know when you're gonna address this, but we need to address. How much did your brain change? Like, okay, that's the wrong question. Clearly say that. How much is too much online time? Because we have a situation where one of us,
Who's
their
reading
children,
emails?
yes, their children are online so much that the mother is like beside herself. And the children's personalities.
Oh,
change.
right, yeah.
We can see it, like, and I've noticed this with children that do a lot. Their eyes, they have a dead look on their eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Is that my imagination or my
No.
dodgy mind?
No.
Or-
Especially if we're talking about boys who are
Yes.
gaming.
Yeah.
It really starts to alter, and I'm not a neuroscientist, but it starts to change their brain. They get very much more hostile. I mean, if you're playing 8 to 10 hours of shooting up war games,
I did that once. I had post-traumatic stress disorder. I went to my brother, not this brother, this house, played World of War,
World of Warcraft.
11 hours straight. I wasn't.
Are you crazy? Yes. Yes.
George, he wasn't normal.
I didn't get past the first.
Wait, so are we assuming this is normal?
This is calm. No, but I'm serious about the, I look at children and I can see you're a gamer, you're not a gamer. And I'm wondering if that's just me. There's a little
No, I don't
bit of
think
child's
so.
eye.
Because the other thing, they're not getting any sunlight either. They're not getting any vitamin D because they're sitting inside all day gaming. they often are not sleeping very well because they're gaming too late. And
No
then-
social habits.
They're not showering, they're not doing anything.
Well, then I would start to wonder if they're, like, we use the word addiction around technology too loosely. But there truly is a diagnosable disorder called gaming addiction. And it's like any addiction, there are certain markers, like meaning they, like for your child, if your child, when he comes off the game, has a hard time transitioning to another activity, a normal activity, that's an indicator. If there's a change in his personality, like, my kid used to be pretty easygoing, and now he comes out and he's hostile and angry, that's a problem. He thinks about the game when he's not playing the game, and he can't enjoy anything else other than the games. Those are signs of addiction, and that's far beyond my expertise. And then you have to start looking into and there are addiction specialists around technology, and I don't know how insurance works down here.
Doesn't know.
It doesn't, yeah. So anyways, in the US, because they're becoming, so in the US, there's this thing called the DSM dash, whatever the number is. I don't know what number we're on now. 6, 7, something like that. Yeah, and that's all the mental health diagnoses. And as soon as something gets identified as a legitimate diagnosable disease, then it possibly will be covered by medical insurance.
So I don't want to what I was done, just saying, sometimes when I'm playing games, it's hard on the eyes, it's hard on the muscles, in certain positions, so your body now has to take all this and pressure from the eyes and neck, the back. So all of that becomes frustrating to the body. So
Yeah.
that's why the.
Physical manifestation.
That's why every changes.
Yeah. Yeah, and yep,
Oh, so I know George is on board the profile. So I learned recently, I watched a documentary. You ever heard about Bitcoin money?
no,
It's
Bitcoin mining,
yeah, Bitcoin.
yeah,
They have a similar one to profile, where it's fake profile. They release these funny capture videos on these thousands of different cameras, so they can get sent, so they can get viewers, and also to get money from it.
yeah.
So that's something that I said, a bunch of profiles on Facebook, on TikTok, on IG, they're not necessarily the real person profile, when you do that to make more money.
Yeah.
How people go on, it's almost like a, Bitcoin mine.
It's like a big Pandora's box. The more good things we get, the more, manipulation and. Yeah.
Yeah, but only thing I don't know how to stop it, because we take the that, so lock it up. When it's actually takes it in smoke and lock it in, so lock it there, because at home sometimes you can figure out where.
Yeah, so does that works though, right?
And then you during the breaks, and then. And now after the summer break, summer we try to like.
Regulate it better, yeah.
But now again, we have to give the computer because they have to do homework in this, and then most of the time we walk around like we make it sit such a way that we can see.
Mhm.
Like every time we do this.
So your son's at the age of 15, I assume the plan is for him to go off to college. So you've really got to sort of focus in on giving him the skills to regulate his time.
Somehow balances his grades. And then if you're asking something general knowledge, that is my husband's way of like keeping him on track. So just throws in some general knowledge questions, or then if he can't answer, he has to go and first and come back and give the answer. So sometimes, so that way I don't know, somehow we're trying to balance it without hurting him.
Yeah,
But he
that's,
doesn't have a phone.
Maybe you could get into it, like you're doing now, trying to find independence, the game
Yeah.
of life,
Yeah.
The game.
and as they get to be 15, 16, like I always say, how do they do, it's funny you say it again, well, I would ask, as a 15 or 16-year-old, how are his grades? They're good. No. Or he gets all his schoolwork done.
I was
I'm
going.
like, okay, so he is figuring out a way to manage this.
And then he should be releasing. Because of the time, I, my foundation, we made the best neurosurgeon in the world. We do everything together. And I said, I'm just planning to be a neurosurgeon.
But this is justification to why I'm gonna sit here.
The thing is, my little brother, he played all these games.
Is that the one you
It's
worked with all night?
Yeah, it's probably like, when you see him play, it's quite impressive.
Yeah.
And now when you see what's happening in Ukraine and the modern warfare in the USA, you know what? I didn't play, because I played for 11 hours, like level 1. I didn't get past it. And he is, breaks games, you know, and he's learned it. He
Yeah.
can coordinate a side attack with a.
I mean, there are people that are very talented and they're not addicted and they play a lot and that's the thing.
My son, he goes to the I don't have enough. At 13, he broke the firewall of the entire community with the videos. And he made money from his friends, and then that's how he realized he's very good at it.
That's, he's gotta watch out, it's coming.
A lot of them think that they
And
get
then-
recruited because the game will send a message to various companies to say, hey,
Well, the other
I'm
thing,
not good. I reached this level, call this number, and now you're.
in the US, they have
Yeah.
college scholarships. They have e-sport scholarships, they have varsity e-sport, games. And there's whole big world tournaments where they're filling, SoFi Stadium is where like the Los Angeles Rams play. And they filled like, 100,000 person stadium because they were having a game competition. I think it was a World of Warcraft. People go to watch people game. I'm like, I can't think of a worse way to spend my time. I really.
There was a woman and there was a car, he drove the car online the other day, that then became, race cars.
Oh, really? Yeah, I believe it.
True story.
Yeah.
17-year-old child, stories like that. And that's.
It's like 1 in a million and then
See? And then that is the motivation by the now. Tell them all of that. Those people think something, at least you're sitting and wasting your time.
I wanna be a fly on the wall in your house and listen to the conversation. Thanks, you guys.
Thank you.
I hope Jordan, we'll be back tomorrow night. You can't